It was supposed to be just another weekend hike. My friends and I, there were 4 of us, decided to explore a remote trail deep in the Appalachian wilderness. We had been hiking together for years, but this trail felt different. Overgrown, eerie, and forgotten by time, it seemed like no one had walked it in years. We ventured deeper into the woods when we stumbled upon a small clearing, hidden by twisted trees and thick vines. In the center stood something strange, a crudely carved statue, maybe 2 feet tall, made of dark, weathered wood. It had a human shape, but it was grotesque. Its eyes were hollow, with rusty nails driven deep into the sockets. "I don't like this," one of us muttered, and I couldn't blame them. But curiosity got the better of me. I stepped closer, fascinated by the bizarre thing. "It's just a creepy old statue," I said, trying to shake off the weird feeling. Without really thinking, I picked it up. "I'm taking this home," I added, despite the unease from the others. I thought it'd be a cool conversation piece, something to laugh about later. That night, we went back to my apartment, and that's when everything started. I placed the statue on the shelf in my living room, figuring it'd sit there until I decided what to do with it. Around midnight, one of my friends got up to grab some water. I was sitting on the couch when I heard them call out, their voice shaking. Come here." I rushed over and froze. There on the floor were wet footprints. They led from the front door, across the living room, and stopped right in front of the statue. The door was locked. No one had gone outside. My heart started racing. "Maybe there's a logical explanation," I mumbled, but I wasn't convinced. Later that night, after everyone had left, I was in bed, trying to sleep, when a loud bang echoed through my apartment. It sounded like someone was slamming their fists against the front door. Startled, I jumped out of bed and rushed to the door. But when I opened it, no one was there. Just the quiet night air and empty hallway. As I turned to go back to bed, it happened again. Louder this time. My stomach dropped. I checked the door again. Nothing. No one. This kept happening. Every night the banging would start, sometimes in the dead of night, sometimes just after sunset. But each time, when I opened the door, there was no one there. The wet footprints kept reappearing too, leading from the door to the statue. As days passed, things escalated. Lights would flicker, objects would move when I wasn't looking, and the air in my apartment felt heavy, like someone or something was watching me. I started waking up at 3 a.m. every night, drenched in sweat with this overwhelming feeling that I wasn't alone in the room. My friends noticed something was wrong. I wasn't sleeping, I was on edge all the time, and I started to feel like I was losing my mind. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and told them what was happening. "I think it's the statue," I confessed. "I have to get rid of it." The night I decided to get rid of the statue was the worst yet. I wrapped it in a towel, ready to throw it away. As I approached the door, all the lights in the apartment shut off at once. The only light was a faint glow from the moon coming through the window. Then the knocking started again, but this time, it wasn't just at the door. It was everywhere. The walls, the windows, even the ceiling. A deep, unnatural banging that seemed to come from all sides, echoing through the apartment. My breath caught in my throat, and that's when I saw it. Standing in the doorway to the living room was a figure, tall, shadowy, and dripping wet. It looked like it had just walked in from a storm, but there was no storm outside. Its face, the hollow sockets where its eyes should have been gleamed in the darkness, and rusty nails were driven into them, just like the statue. I dropped the statue, and the figure vanished. The next morning, shaken but determined, I drove deep into the woods and buried the statue. I didn't tell anyone where. I didn't want anyone to find it again. After that, the banging stopped. The wet footprints never appeared again. But something about me had changed. I moved out of the apartment shortly after and tried to forget the whole thing. But I still have nightmares. And I know Wherever that statue is buried, whatever evil was inside it, it's still out there,